Hello! So it's been a little while. Oh, I'm sorry, did I scare you? I'm sorry, I didn't mean to. Alrighty, so hello. It has been a little while. Today I just wanted to talk about the day this little guy was born. This is Phoenix. Yeah. This is my little Phoenix. He's exactly 4 weeks old today, so he is a month old, and we love him so much. He is literally the best baby in the world, and we just love him. Like, I can't even describe how much we love him because he's just perfect. But I'm sure everybody says that about their babies. Oh, there's a little smile. Hi. Hello. Like I said, I did want to talk about the day he was born. I did film a video that day, but that day just felt like such a blur that I wanted to speak it out loud because we weren't allowed to film during the actual C-section part, so there was a lot missing. There was a big chunk missing, so I just kind of wanted to talk about that experience a little bit. So it was a scheduled C-section because this little guy was breech. He did not want to turn upside down, which I think you're like your daddy a little bit. Daddy doesn't like going on upside down rides, so maybe you just don't want to be upside down like daddy. Maybe. Yeah. Since it was scheduled, we didn't know what was happening. It was scheduled for 8:30 a.m. in the morning, and we had to check in at 5:30 a.m. So I remember going to bed that night. I was super nervous because I've never had any type of surgery, and just the thought of being numbed and cut open really freaked me out. So I remember being super nervous. I remember me and Chris went to bed. They had me put these like sanitary wipes all over my body before we went to bed. And when me and Chris went to bed, I just remember I couldn't sleep because I was so nervous. I was just thinking about the surgery and just worried if something happened and all this. And Chris was totally calm. He was like, I knew everything would be fine, but you know, he wasn't the one getting the C-section, so his opinion, whatever. But me, I was super nervous, but super excited to meet him. But since I was so nervous, I just couldn't sleep. The next morning we drove to the hospital. We checked in on time, like exactly right on time. We got to the room to get ready and I had to put on the hospital gown, and I hate hospital gowns, by the way. Is there anybody who likes hospital gowns? Probably not, but I hate them. They put the belly bands on to monitor his heart rate to see if I was having any contractions. I wasn't. For about an hour. And me and Chris just talked. I was super nervous, like I said, so I was just kind of like trying to process that it was about to happen because I was so incredibly nervous. And I was also super nervous about missing my belly, which seems silly, but like since I could feel him kicking inside of me for so long, I was like, oh no, I'm gonna miss that. And I just felt really emotional about everything in general. I also had to sign some paperwork, and then shortly after that they came into the room to take me away. So unfortunately, when they give you the spinal block, they don't allow anybody in, so Chris couldn't come with me. They were like, oh, we're coming to get you, and I remember just like freaking out, and I kissed Chris like probably like I'd never see him again kiss because I was just so nervous. And so I like grabbed his face and I kissed him and I was like, I love you so much. And I was probably crying. I think I was crying. So after I kissed him, they told Chris to get ready, and they're not scrubs, but they're like the mesh stuff and the mask and stuff to get ready to meet me in the OR after I've been numbed. They wheeled me out, which was like the weirdest feeling, being wheeled in a bed. And they also had me take off my glasses so I couldn't see anything. So that was kind of scary, being wheeled around the hospital and then put into the OR, and like I could see all the instruments and like computers and stuff like that, but it was all blurry. I was so nervous. Luckily the nurses there were super friendly because I could tell how nervous I was, and when they had me sit up and like hunch my shoulders like as much as I could and lean forward to be able to give me the spinal block. And this one nurse, she was so helpful. She like held me by the shoulders and was like, okay, deep breaths, it's okay. She was super helpful and I appreciate her so much. I can't remember her name, but she was really great. So the spinal block, I do remember it hurting, but I honestly can't remember how much it hurt. Like I remember being all crunched up and being like, ow. And I do believe it hurt a lot, but I honestly can't remember. Like people say that it felt like a bee sting. I'm pretty sure it was more than a bee sting, but I just kind of forgot because there's so much stuff happening. It was so surreal. Like it didn't feel like it was really happening. So they gave me the spinal block and they put my legs up. Hi we okay? Okay. So that after the spinal block, they put my legs up and had me lay down flat, and that was a little scary because I could feel the numbing stuff starting to work. After it was officially working, they put the screen up in front of me and... Oh, really? Shh, shh, shh. It's okay, buddy. Why are we sad? Why are we sad? Mommy's just telling the story of how you were born. So they put the screen up, and then they started asking me, can you feel this? And I was like, no, but I could still wiggle my toes, especially my toes on my left foot. I could still feel it. So I was like, no, I can't feel that, but I can wiggle my toes. Is that okay? And they were like, yeah, that's fine. And I was like, but I can wiggle my toes. Does that mean I'm not numb? Like, that's all I could focus on, was that my toes could still wiggle. And they were like, we're poking you with a sharp object on your stomach. Can you feel that? And I was like, no. And they were like, then you're fine. And I do remember laying there and attempting to move my legs, which freaked me out. And I'm not like claustrophobic, but the only word that I can think of is claustrophobic. The fact that I couldn't move it, like I felt like I was trapped. I was like, okay, stop trying to move because this is making it worse. I just tried to calm down. I was like waiting for Chris, and I was just like, okay, Chris will be here soon. It'll be fine. It'll be fine. One thing that was a little annoying was one of the doctors, it wasn't my official OB, but it was the like assistant doctor. He got into an argument with one of the nurses. She was wiping down my belly, and I guess she was up too high on my belly, and he was like berating her a little bit, like, hey, don't do it that high. Why are you doing that high? It's not going to be near the incision site. And then she was like, oh, well, the OB told me to. And then he was like, that doesn't make any sense. And they were like arguing while I was like right there, like I wasn't there. And that kind of really ticked me off because I'm freaking out flat on my back and can't move, and you guys are gonna argue in front of me? Like, not cool. Luckily, the anesthesiologist like distracted me. Like, I think she noticed what was happening and that I was getting annoyed and like about to say something, because then she started asking me questions to distract me, which was very helpful. So all the nurses were great, but that one doctor, like, who cares if she's wiping my belly in a spot? Who cares? I don't care. There's more important things. Shortly after, I really don't know how long it was, Chris finally came in, and he was in his like little outfit and the mask and the hairnet. They did have me in a hairnet, and they put an oxygen mask on me. So Chris came in, and I just was like, I don't know, I was like in a daze. Like I said, I feel like it felt surreal. It felt like a movie. It felt like it wasn't happening. And so he came in, and I was just like, my love. I feel like I said something, like I was worried about him. Like I was like, are you okay? How are you? Were you waiting long? Like, I don't know. And he was just trying to calm me down, like, you're doing so good, and I love you so much. Just stuff like that. I can't remember the exacts. And I remember asking like the nurses or the anesthesiologist, I was like, did they start already? And they were like, oh yeah, we started a while ago. And I was like, oh, okay. Like, didn't feel like a while ago, but I can't feel anything, so great. I remember asking Chris to keep talking to me to distract me because I was still really nervous, and he was just talking to me, blah blah blah. And I remember hearing, I think it was the OB say, oh, there's a butt, we have a butt. And I was like, did they say they have a butt? Is that his butt? Like I remember being like, oh, his butt. I don't know. But shortly after that, we heard a cry. Did you really just fart when I talked about you crying? Really? Yeah, you did. I love you. So anyway, we heard a cry. I was just about to cry, but his fart distracted me from the crying, so I guess thank you for that, because I was gonna get emotional. And I instantly just started crying when I heard him cry, and he still cries that same way. It's like a very particular cry. Like, I've heard other babies cry. Babies' cries are so different, and he has this very specific cry that he still does, and that was the exact cry. They told us that they were just taking him to check everything, make sure everything was okay, and it should be a few minutes. So we were waiting there. It felt like a while. So I remember telling Chris, oh, do you want to go see him? Because, you know, he was on the table and stuff, and I was like, I figured you want to see him, because I felt like torture. I couldn't move, so I figured Chris probably felt the same way. But he was so sweet. He was like, no, I want to see him for the first time with you. And I just thought that was so sweet. And oh yeah? No, don't be sad. Don't be sad. Don't be sad, little buddy. Don't be sad. Don't be sad. It's okay. So it did feel like we were waiting for a while, and when they did eventually bring him, they had me do skin to skin, which was a little hard because I was flat on my back, and they put him on my chest, and instantly, like, I was just like, oh buddy, and they put him on my chest, and he instantly grabbed my finger with his hand, and he was just holding my finger, and it was just, I was so emotional. I was so emotional, and everything was perfect. Yeah, everything was perfect. You're perfect. I love you so much. I'm not sure how long we were doing that. Obviously they were stitching me back up and making sure everything was okay. But suddenly I felt this just pressure pain on my chest. And they did tell me during the C-section it would feel like an elephant or a person was sitting on your chest and you wouldn't be able to breathe. So I was like picturing that, but it didn't feel like that. It just felt like there was just this heavy pain in my chest, and he was on my chest, and he suddenly felt like he was like 1,000 pounds, and I was getting really uncomfortable. I just kept saying like, oh, my chest is heavy, my chest is heavy, it hurts. And they said, do you want us to take him off of you? And like my heart said, no, I don't want you to take him off of me, but it was just getting unbearable that I said yes. So they took him off of me, and when they took him off of me, I suddenly felt really nauseous. I started dry heaving, and they brought me like a barf bag. I didn't actually throw up, but I was dry heaving into that with this pain on my chest. And during that time, they actually gave him to Chris, which at the time, you know, I didn't want to like give him up, but I'm actually very grateful for that moment because Chris got to spend some one-on-one time with him while I was, you know, a little incapable of doing anything at the moment. Once I recovered, the pain went away. They gave me the oxygen mask again because I took it off originally when he came out. So they gave me the oxygen mask, and then suddenly everything started to feel better, which was really good. And then Chris was holding him and he brought him over to my face, and then we were just hanging out. Even though we weren't allowed to take pictures or video in the OR, luckily I did have one of the nurses take photos for us. The hospital provided that, which was really nice. The first picture they ever took of him is this picture right here. They gave us this frame in a little like gift basket, but can you just like, how freaking cute is he? Like, me and Chris are so in love with this picture because it's so cute. This was literally like minutes after he was born, and I can't get over that face. Like, he's just the cutest thing in the world. I got some more of the pictures because, you know, I'm that mom. So since he was a breech baby, his legs were constantly up and like curled, which is hilarious, and I love it so much. Here's another one. Yeah, look at him. Those legs, those little crazy legs. That's what we used to call him. His legs don't do that as much anymore, but when he did, it was really funny. When we changed diapers, they would constantly just go above his face. So this is when they first put him on my chest. And then this one, they had us pose for it. They were like, oh hey, turn around. They're like our first family pictures. And like, how uncomfortable does that look? Here's a close-up of us. That was before I started feeling that heavy pain on my chest, and then this is when they first gave him to Chris. Here's another one of just him and Chris, if it'll focus. There it goes. How handsome is that outfit, by the way? And this one is the last one. This is after I had recovered from that pain. As you can see, I have the oxygen mask on, and Chris is holding him up to me. But yeah, so those are the photos that the hospital gave us, which again, I super appreciate. Sorry, I'm zooming in. I'm trying to move the pictures. Hi, Betty. So then after they had me stitched up, they took the curtain down. They had me laying on like this drape thing so they could transfer me over to another hospital bed, which felt super weird because they basically just like lifted me off of a table onto a rolling hospital bed, and then they wheeled me through the hospital again. But this time I had my glasses so I could see. But I wasn't looking around because they gave him back to me. So all I was looking at was him, obviously. But why couldn't I have my glasses? I should have been able to have my glasses. Not cool. So then they brought us to the recovery room to make sure like my vitals were okay, that his vitals were okay. And then we just did breastfeeding in that room for, I believe it was like a half an hour to an hour. So we breastfed until they made sure that both of us were okay. And then they brought us to another room, which is where we would spend the next couple of days. We went back to that room and I was just in such a daze. Like, we were doing skin to skin and like I just couldn't stop looking at him. Like, I honestly, what people say, like when you meet your baby, like you've never felt like a love like that. It's so true, because I just couldn't stop looking at him. And I still can't stop looking at him. He's a month old today and I can't stop looking at him because he's just so sweet. And I can't believe, like, I can't believe he grew inside me. It's just, it's surreal. It's crazy. Shortly after we got back to the room, they weighed him, they measured him, they made sure everything was okay. The day that he was born, he was 6 pounds, 4.7 ounces, and he was 19.5 inches long. He actually had a doctor's appointment today. So today he was 7 pounds, 15 ounces, and 21.5 inches long. So he's growing. Like, I can't believe how much he's grown since we've been home. Like, he's just my little baby. I know you're growing. Can you stop growing? You're so cute. Shortly after that, my friend Rachel came to take some pictures of us, which was super sweet of her. Honestly, like, everything in the hospital was a blur. I remember waking up semi-frequently to feed him and Chris waking up to change diapers. One funny thing that I remember, the hospital had a DVD player, so me and Chris had brought some movies. So the first movie that he ever watched was Oliver and Company. So we watched Oliver and Company pretty much on loop because we weren't really paying attention to it. So like I said, everything went by really fast. We didn't film anything the second day because we were honestly just spending some time taking care of him, video chatting family, making sure everybody got to meet him and all that fun stuff. And yeah, that's pretty much it for the birth story. The recovery was kind of hard. It was really hard to stand. It was really hard to like move my legs over once I started getting unnumb. It was very emotional as well. I remember being up in the middle of the night and waking up Chris, and I was like, Chris, and he was, it was probably like 3 or 4 in the morning, and I was like, Chris, and he was like, what? Does he need me? And I was like, no, but I need you. And then he just rolled over and said, wake me up when he needs me. And he doesn't remember that at all. Like, he was just so dead tired. And that wasn't the first night, that was the second night. He was so dead tired and he doesn't remember it. After I told him about it, he felt so bad. But now I think it's funny. At the time, I was just really emotional and needed his support. So I was sad at the moment, but now I think it's funny, especially the fact that he doesn't remember it. So anyway, we were in the hospital for the next 2 days. He was born on September 12th and we left the hospital on the 14th. The car ride was awful after a C-section. 10 out of 10, do not recommend because it was super uncomfortable. But he did so good in the car seat, and then we came home. And we've been taking care of this little guy since, and I can't believe he's a month old today. It went by way too fast. People always say that babies grow so fast, and it's 100% true because I feel like he looks so different from the day he was born. I love him so much. I love you so much. You've been asleep this whole time. Yeah. Say bye, Phoenix. Say bye. Thank you for watching. Yeah. You're so cute. I love you so much. Also, I don't know if you've noticed, but we've had a Toulouse hanging out in the background over here, and he's apparently decided to give himself a bath. So thanks for that, Toulouse. Cool. Good job. Thank you, Mr. Lazy. Say bye, Phoenix. Say bye, little buddy. He's like, no, Mom, I'm sleeping. I just want to sleep. I just want to sleep, I just want to eat, and I just want to poop and pee, and that's all I want to do. So I hope you have a great rest of your day, and thank you so much for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed it. C-sections are definitely something. It wasn't the birth that I had planned, but I honestly am so happy with the way everything turned out. Everything went well. Got a healthy baby. I'm healthy. I can walk around now like normal, which is great. Like, I'm still not allowed to like push and pull things for another 2 weeks, but recovery has been pretty good. So no complaints there. But anyway, thank you so much for watching, and yeah, say goodbye. Say goodbye. I tried to end this so many times and I just keep talking. Why do I keep talking? Toulouse, say goodbye. Or keep licking yourself. That works too. Bye. Bye. Why are you focusing on my cat? And before I go, look at how cute. He has a little elephant on his booty.